G'day Wallaby Dick, welcome to another episode of Tascast. Something a little bit different today. Over the weekend we went out on final edition. Evan Jones's, how large is that?
She's a 75-foot custom-built aluminium boat built down in the Gold Coast.
So we went out heavy tackle, and the objective was to get Kim his first marlin. And boy oh boy did it provide. My first marlin was probably, 60, 70 kilos. And that got me. That I was really sore after that. But this marlin that we came tight with was something else.
It certainly was something else, mate. It was something that we go to bed dreaming about that we catch the next day, and there she was.
6 o'clock, I think we're off, heading out wide. Here in the Sunshine Coast, it's about 2 hours to get to the marlin grounds, just because it's such a large distance to get to the continental shelf. So we were fishing and zigzagging down south in about 500-600 metres of water.
Yeah, so we started in about that sort of 200 metres of water, worked our way out to 1,000 metres. Water looked a little bit better, sort of halfway to that 500 metre section. So started there, and that's where we got our first bite. And then that one didn't stay, unfortunately. He jumped us off on the first jump, and then thought we might work our way down south a little bit and head on down towards where the water was a little bit warmer, a little bit better current, nice altimetry, and yeah, there she was.
Someone get the witch doctor? Yep. Wow! Kim, let's talk about the hookup, because I was egging you on all morning that there was one thing you needed to do. One thing you needed to do, and one thing you didn't need to be near. So typically, if you're game fishing, there's someone always on standby on the chair for when the bite happens. Kim comes up to the fly bridge, starts having a bit of a yarn. I'm like, the only thing that needs to happen now is for you to
crack a beer. So we'd been lulled into a bit of a false sense of security, trolling as trolling is. We sitting around, everyone was super keen. As the hours rolled on, the day started to get a bit long in the tooth, and Tim had been egging me on, I guess, for maybe an hour and a half at that point.
Yeah.
Saying, mate, you have that first beer and we're going to be on. And true to his word, within 30 seconds of cracking the first beer, having the first sip, the fucking reel started screaming. Georgie's sitting up top going, mate, that's a 500-pounder every day of the week, and it was on.
We'll show you that action of the hookup. I think I got a couple of the jumps on camera, but that was absolutely phenomenal. 2C, let's play the action. Wow!
Well, Kim's got his first fish. He's in the chair, so it ran for a fair bit. I guess it ran for about 100 metres or more.
A couple of nice jumps on it. Yeah.
It took Kim a little bit to get down from the bridge down to get into the seat and onto the rod and into the seat.
And what were we joking about? As soon as he gets up on the bridge?
I've been saying it all along. As soon as you crack a beer, first sip, you're on.
Pretty phenomenal. It's not every day that you see a fish that large in the spread. Here on the Sunshine Coast, they are quite rare from my understanding, but up towards Lizard Island and the further north you go, they are more common. What would you have to say about that, George?
I think that we fish a lot of our time up around, Fraser and Lady Musgrave and that sort of area, all expecting a big fish. Then we fish out of the Gold Coast, and we're expecting big fish down there too. The only sort of weird middle ground is us here out of Mooloolaba. So normally out of Mooloolaba, your stock standard fish is sort of that 100 kilo fish, even less. Any fish over that, absolute bonus. But that fish has to get from Fraser down to the Gold Coast somehow, following that East Australian current, which is what we hope to jag one on its transit down towards the Gold Coast and further south potentially. So to see a fish that size is quite uncommon, and I'd have to be honest, that's one of the biggest fish that I've seen out of Mooloolaba, definitely.
Yeah, some might say within the last 3 or 4 years, it's probably the largest marlin.
I'd be top 3 largest marlin I've ever caught out in Mooloolaba in the last 20 years, and it would probably be the biggest I've heard in the last 5 years.
So what you're insinuating is that you started marlin fishing when you were 4 years old.
Yeah, I unfortunately, I was thrown into the sport, whether I liked it or I didn't.
Yeah.
I've been that person clearing teaser lines and clearing rods and reels since I can remember, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So Kim, you're sitting in the chair, and what's going through your head as you're fighting this fish? You know that we've had a big visual on it. We know it's a big fish. What's going through your head? You're on 60 kilo tackle.
60 kilo tackle.
Yep.
First thing that went through my head was, that's a lot of line gone. We stripped off the entire mono within seconds. It just disappeared in front of me. I went, we have to get all of that back, and that's going to be a lot of work.
What was your top shot? 150 or 100?
That's 250 metres of line that thing pulled before we even got all the gear in.
Wow.
So that gives you a bit of a...
Yep.
With 20 kilos of drag on him as well, mind you. So
Yep.
that gives you a bit of a thought of the size of the fish that we're talking about here.
So that was the second thing that went through my head. The first thing was, yeah, we're on.
And boy, were we on.
And a reason why we knew how much drag we had on it is because every single morning on Final Edition, we always test the drag. So first people to arrive on the yacht, normally you are
Drag testers.
Drag testers. So
I was testing the drag on that particular rod that morning.
There you go.
There you go. You must have tested it well.
I absolutely did, I guess.
So fighting a fish of that caliber, it's your first fish, and that's a dream fish for many anglers out there. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What would you say to anybody out there that's wanting to go marlin fishing, sitting in that chair? What are some of the techniques that you picked up that you think could help a new marlin fisher in that chair?
Dig in. It's a marathon. First thing, prepare your mind, because it's not over straight away. You'll get a bunch of line back in. You think, okay, we're doing really well here, but basically instantly you'll see that line get stripped off again.
And at a rate of knots.
A rate of knots. Excited.
Excited. You can do it, buddy. You got this.
Feeling dangerous.
Something really interesting when we were getting this fish in, you might hear me over the camera screaming, but we've got was it a bimini twist?
Plat.
A plat, sorry. So we had a plat onto our leader. What was the leader on that?
So we just run a plat, just a double line. It runs down to your wind-on leader, and so the wind-on leader is about 500 pounds.
So we had a 500-pound leader on. So we had the plat run through the rod tip 3 or 4 times, and we started to notice that it was coming loose.
Starting to deteriorate a little bit.
After the 3rd time through the rod tip, you might hear me screaming over the camera, but we just had to take that shot. Normally we'd love to tag off the rod tip.
It's the whole point of a wind-on leader, is to be able to wind that leader onto your reel so that you can hit that fish with just the tension out of the reel. So if he takes off, you have little chance of pulling the hooks. So my leader from the hook to where the wind-on starts is 3 meters. So that's the exact same distance as the tag pole. So as soon as that swivel hits the rod tip, you can absolutely 100% hit that fish at the tag pole.
Oh, baby. Get it. Get it. Get it. Get him. Get him. Tag's in. But yes, so we had to take that shot, get our hands onto the leader, get him boat side, and go for a nice, beautiful release.
Yeah, I definitely heard George scream over the PA system, get him in now.
Yes.
Yeah. It's time.
This is it, because if that fish did one more run, I don't like our chances,
No.
unfortunately.
I don't like our chances of either getting it back, A, with that broken plat, and B, we were on the rod for about an hour and 20 to 30 minutes. So that fish, the longer you fight, puts its life in jeopardy, and we want a nice healthy release, and we want to get that tag in for citizen science.
Absolutely.
So at the end of the day, we got the tag shot in, got the lure back,
Yep.
and the hook back.
Well, that's the thing, mate. We done well. I think that fish was hooked in a little bit of in a hard spot up in top of the mouth there, just at the back of the bill, bottom of the eye sort of area. Once they're in there, the only way you're really getting that hook back is if you straighten it. look, I've straightened a few before, but that guy wasn't coming off.
Yeah.
He wasn't coming off. He hooked himself very well from the start, which was good to see.
Incredible fish. I don't know if you're going to see one like that again in your lifetime. That's the biggest marlin I've seen.
Well, that's my first marlin, so I expect the next one will be twice that size.
I
Yeah,
hope
of
so,
course.
mate.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome. Good luck, Tom. Come out any day.
No, I think for me, I'd really like to thank the deckies on board. We had Cam, Oscar, Aaron. Those guys did an absolutely phenomenal job. Aaron got the final tag in.
Yeah. Don't forget Evan directing you in the chair as well.
Yeah, Evan, the owner of the boat, directing me in the chair, gave me some just absolutely incredible guidance. The flow of the fight, everything that they were telling me really helped me to, push forward, make the right choices in the chair, and get the fish home. Yeah,
That's what it's all about at the end of the day, mate, is a smooth transition from hook up to tag in. And as long as everybody knows their jobs, everybody knows what's happening, that's when you make it a seamless transition. And a fish like that is the sort of fish that tests not only your tackle, but tests your skipper, tests your deckies, tests your angler, and test everything in between.
Yeah.
That's the sort of fish that will break you if you have one little wink leak. So that was going to be that double.
Yeah. But also with some of your luck recently, you've hooked some large fish, especially in the Newport tournament, and you dropped a couple of those. Do you put that down to your tackle? You're not too sure. It was fresh spools on every single reel for this trip because you weren't sure.
I wasn't. I'm a big one for 1%ers, and not only 1%ers, but just making sure the job's done right and you feel comfortable, because the last thing you want is to hook a fish of that caliber and to fight it for an hour and a half and worry about something. If you're starting to worry about something and you start to think it, you're going to manifest it into existence a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's a real brand new backing, brand new mono, brand new everything except for the rod and reel essentially, and new leaders on everything, new hooks on everything. Start scratch. I've had a bit of a bad run recently of dropping some nice fish, so dropping that drag back from sort of that 20 kilos back to 12 kilos on strike, that certainly helped a little bit. But yeah, that fish, this one that we're talking about, he was hooked. He wasn't coming off.
Well, there you go, guys. That's the story of the 500-pound marlin that we caught on Final Edition, and a little bit of an insight into the pursuit of the unknown of what we call game fishing. It is a very interesting sport. Thousands of dollars thrown into the ring to possibly catch a fish, put a tag in it, and release it.
Hours and hours of boredom followed by minutes of pandemonium.
That's it. Thanks very much for watching this episode, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the visuals and a little bit more insight. Drop a comment down below what your biggest marlin is, and we will see you in the next one.
See you later.
Just keep an eye on him. Make sure he's going to...
He swam pretty well for a long time.
All right.